Hey, it's James Lynch. We have an update on the UFC welterweight rankings courtesy of John Morgan. And there's a couple interesting notes that I wanted to get into in today's video. The first one being that Shavkat Rakhmonov, you can read the tweet here, says he has been pulled from the welterweight rankings. He was listed as in the eligible pool of athletes during the last ranking cycle, but with injury news surfacing, he's not in the latest update. And then it says, additionally, Michael Venom Page has returned to the list at number 15. I like both these moves. I think it makes sense. If Shavkat's going to be out for a while, why hold up, the division and everything else? So I don't have a problem with this. I don't think they did this with Jamal Hill and Yuri Prohaska when they had their long-term injuries. I could be wrong about that, but I don't remember seeing that. Let me know in the comments if you guys remember if that was a thing or not. But I'm fine with this because I think that, let's start with the Shavkat thing. If you're going to be out for a while, reward activity, reward fighters who are fighting and winning fights. I'm totally cool with that. So no issue with Shavkat being removed from the rankings. Here's the problem, though, and we'll talk about Michael Venom Page in a second here. Why is Colby Covington on here? Colby Covington's currently number 13. Colby Covington has not fought since December of 2024 against the fight against Joaquin Buckley. His last competition was the RAF wrestling match with Luke Rockhold. He's not stepped in the UFC cage in over a year. More than a year, right? We're coming up to, this December, it'll be 2 years. I don't get this at all. I think it's good that they are starting to take note of inactivity. And if you guys know on this channel, I did a video at the end of last year talking about fighters that didn't compete. And listen, injuries happen. It sucks. I feel for Shavkat. I did a whole video on this and I hope he has a recovery and I hope he's back better than ever. But I'm also fine with taking them out of the rankings. What I think they should do is take Shavkat out of the rankings. Remember, he was ranked number 1 or number 2. I can't remember exactly. Remember where his ranking was. Then when he comes back and he wins a fight, use that ranking as your baseline and then use it going forward. That's what I would say you should do. So yeah, that's what I would do. But Colby Covington shouldn't be on here. That I don't get. It's like you're doing one right thing and then another wrong thing. Makes absolutely no sense. I think for the most part, the rankings are okay. Outside that, you've got Jack at number 1. He just lost the title. That's fair. Ian Gary is really the number 1 contender, in my opinion. Him being at number 2 is fine. Michael Morales is undefeated. He's number 3. No issues there. Bilal at number 4 is fine. He's a former champion. You got Carlos Pratas, just the one loss there to Gary, and has performed quite well. I don't mind having him ahead of Sean Brady. You've got obviously Kamaru Usman down there as a former champ. Leon Edwards has lost a couple in a row. Buckley, again, everything beyond that is totally fine with me. I just think Covington's taking up a spot here. Now, as far as Michael Venom Page being at number 15, I'm fine with that. I almost would have put him ahead of Daniel Rodriguez because I feel like Page, let me go look at his record here as far as welterweight goes, because this is the issue. His last 2 fights were middleweight, and it did him no favors as far as the rankings and the matchmaking. And we see this with the fact that he's fighting Sam Patterson. I talked about this yesterday in a video. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for Michael Venom Page. The way I look at this is the UFC's trying to build up Patterson and giving him a much older, notable fighter in Michael Venom Page here. But yeah, he has the win over Holland, and then he lost against Gary. So it's kind of a tough one. There's also an argument that MVP shouldn't be ranked just because he beat Holland. I don't know how much weight that really holds there. And then Daniel Rodriguez, we're still waiting until the news comes out, but it doesn't sound like he's fighting anytime soon. That one is still puzzling to me. Didn't his team come out and say he was in Peru and that's why, he hasn't posted. Let's go check right now. Daniel Rodriguez has not posted since August on his Instagram before his last fight. Seems a little odd. You'd post something there, wouldn't you? Or at least get your team to post something there, right? This last post here, hope it doesn't, 24 weeks ago. So we have no posts from Daniel Rodriguez since then. UFC's got to know has the UFC at least checked in to see what's going on with Daniel Rodriguez? He's another guy that if you're not fighting anytime soon should be out of the rankings. Now, granted, he fought in August, but sure doesn't sound like Daniel Rodriguez is going to be fighting anytime soon. The rest of these, though, like I said, no issues there with the rankings and all that. I think it's fine. You could nitpick a little bit at where Edwards is with him losing a couple in a row and getting finished as well. Jeff Neal, I think, could be a little bit lower. I would put Neal maybe at 14 or something along those lines because Neal just got knocked out in his last fight, right? So that's kind of interesting. Morgan also has another note here saying with 324 in the books, time for a rankings update. Probably should have done this first. Note was provided to voters this week for consideration indicating the return of Michael Venom Page to welterweight is the removal of Tisha Pennington from the eligible pool. So yeah, should have read that first. But yeah, you get the idea here is that if a fighter has a scheduled fight in a weight class and it appears that they're going to fight in that weight class, I'm fine with that. But I think we got some issues if we go look at the rankings now of similar situations like that. Brian Ortega should not be ranked. Look at this. Okay, so this doesn't make any sense. This is, again, I have an issue with the rankings. Why is Brian Ortega ranked at featherweight? I think all indications are he's going to stay at lightweight. I know he was supposed to fight Moicano and he's been pulled out of that fight, but what was his big issue at featherweight? He couldn't make weight, or he had issues making weight. He looked like a zombie against Aljamain Sterling in his last fight. Why is he ranked? So this I don't get. Like, yes, great move. Michael Venom Page wants to commit to welterweight. Fair enough. Brian Ortega seems like he's committed to lightweight. Why is he ranked here? If it's an issue of like the panelists don't know where to rank them, if they do end up fighting in a new weight class and winning that fight, why not make a separate list saying like, here's a list of fighters that have been removed from the rankings, but here's their ranking. We'll put it as like inactivity list or something like that, or some sort of ranking on there that shows the fighter is removed from their ranking, but at least we know where they stood in that division, right? Like Brian Ortega shouldn't be ranked here, and I'm sure there's more if we do some digging here. So yeah, you got Ortega at featherweight, who obviously is not fighting in the weight class anymore. Do they still have they don't have Rafael dos Anjos at lightweight anymore. I remember that was a thing for a while. They kept RDR there for a bit. Chandler's last fight, when was the Paddy fight with Chandler? That was earlier last year. I mean, we're getting to the point with Chandler where he should probably be out of the rankings too. In fact, I think there was a case for it because he had the long layoff prior to fighting Paddy. So he fights Paddy in April. I mean, if he's not fighting by April, or he doesn't have a fight scheduled by April, he should be out of the rankings too in that weight class. Because here's the issue, and I just mentioned it there. If you have fighters that are, let's say, taking short notice fights, like I did this video a while back about Carlos Prates. Like Carlos Prates, if you look at the activity that he's had in the UFC, very active fighter. Since whatever year it's been since, he made his debut when 2024, he fought 4 times that year, fought 3 times last year. That should be rewarded. Kamaru Usman, on the other hand, and I get that Usman's a former champion, and this is one of my arguments about why I don't think Usman should be getting the next title shot. Okay, yes, former champion, one of the greatest welterweights of all time, took all of 2024 off. Like, if you look at the activity level of Carlos Prates, he fought since 2024, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Kamaru Usman's fought 1 time. How is that fair? Right? Am I wrong about this, guys? Let me know. Like my rule has always been this way, and I've said this on my streams. If you are inactive for more than a year, you should be out of the rankings. Remember where you were in the rankings. You can come back in when you fight again, but stop clogging up the rankings, because it really does affect, I think, the matchmaking. Although saying that now, I mean, they're not even following the rankings, because you know what's going to happen? Like I've said this before, it's probably going to end up being Usman and Islam next, and Usman's ranked number 7. Does that make any sense when you've got guys in the top 5 that realistically he could fight? No, it doesn't make any sense. So they don't follow the rankings anyways, but again, this just shows, the reason I'm doing this video is not because, I'm complaining about the rankings. I mean, I am to a certain degree, but it's just showing how flawed it is. Like, how is Michael Venom Page now in the rankings, which he should be, by the way, at welterweight? Why is he in the rankings, but Brian Ortega is still stuck at featherweight? It makes no sense at all. Doesn't make any sense at all. Like, the second they booked that fight with Ortega and Moicano, Ortega should be out of the rankings at featherweight. That's how I see it. So anyways, let me know in the comments what you think about this. I just think, again, it's been sort of a punchline the last couple of years about the rankings and who's voting on them. And again, it's not regular media members voting on this. It's people that were selected like over a decade ago. And then remember, we heard Dana was going to change the rankings. They were going to add new panelists. And I even had some friends that were reached out to about doing the rankings and all that. And nothing came of it. So I don't know what's happening with the rankings. Not like they follow them anyways, but just pointing out the inconsistencies in the rankings in this video. Let me know what you think. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.